Welcome to Nintendo Ninja News. I'm your host, Chris Dices, and we're here with this is a bit of a new review format. You get to see me and the gameplay at the same time. How tricky is that? So we're here with basically it's Australian Open Tennis 2, but it's AO Tennis 2, which is a sequel to the first game, which obviously did not get great review scores and things like that. It was plagued with a lot of issues, but there was a lot of patches and things like that done to it. But this is the sequel that came out on the eShop. Now, just to show you all the cool little different settings and scenarios, you can see that they've gone to town, Big Ant Studio, in terms of all the things you can do, such as career. You can manage your career stuff, for example. So this is one of the areas. You can resume that if you like. Now you can create, for example, the help mode. So you have all these different settings here and there. Amateur, currency, point system, world games. So there's lots of different settings here for your career mode. And which is really, really cool. So you have player lists and things like that, which isn't so bad. Just to give you, so you can do a star player, new player here, and we're just going to show you the gist of what you can do in terms of that. So you have your identity here, you have your appearances, which has all these different pieces. So probably the ones you can't see is like you can change all the nose root position and the nose root depth and things like that. Your hair, your chins and all that sort of thing. Clothing, play style, two-handed backhand or one-handed backhand. Serving generic or smooth or stylish. Receive preferred courts or all-rounded or least preferred one. And game style, doubles or singles or all-rounder, for example. You also have the level up. So when you win money and things like that, you can use it for training and stuff like that, which is pretty good. So you have your online, which unfortunately I haven't had much ability to do that due to possibly a lack of players online at different times of the day, which has been a bit disappointing. You have the academy, which is you can create a male, female player, so players that might be missing or players from long ago, Sampras, Agassi, Steffi Graf, Monica Seles, all that sort of stuff, all the past champions. Popular players, popular logos, venues. You can even create your scenario. You can create your own venue and logos and players and things like that, which is really cool. You have scenarios, tutoring, settings, competition. So you can do men's single competition, 128 players. You can even bring it down to 8 players. And you can do different trophies, which is very interesting. And the venue, you can change it all around, which is cool to see. The tutoring, which isn't so bad. That is something that I will get to later on down the track. There's your mini games, your controls. You can set your tutoring player, challenge decision, things like that. So let's hop into a play now, because it's pretty much the same as the Australian Open. The Australian Open is just basically you going through the Australian Open. The career is the one where you go through all your different options and things like that. So let's do singles. We'll do that. We'll pick Nadal, who we've been picking for a while. Who have I been playing against? We'll do Nick Kyrgios as an opponent. And we should go to Melbourne Park, won't we? We won't obviously play all of it. So hang on. We're only going to do the one set and then the two. Or maybe 3. All right. So we're going to start on rookie mode. And I will show you. I think generally the game is okay. The graphics is a little bit dated, a little bit funny. The music's not too bad. I'm not too fussed as a Nintendo, guy. I'm not too fussed about certain aspects of the game. I'm not looking for 4K graphics. I'm not expecting, because Big Ant Studio probably runs on a pretty tight budget in terms of what is expected of a game. You're not going to get a game that is sort of EA type quality, or some of the big sports games out there, such as FIFA and Madden and things like that. So I haven't tried the motion controls, but the one thing that I would probably have difficulties is sort of doing it right-handed. I wouldn't mind if they could do it left-handed for the lefties. For myself, and plus sort of holding the two at once is a little bit difficult, where some of the tennis games on the Nintendo Wii console, you only had the one thing to swing, and it felt more legitimate in terms of you're really holding a tennis racket, where you, in here with the motion controls, the way it's set up, unfortunately, it's more like you're holding two tennis rackets, and it feels a little bit weird. And I have played tennis games like that, which feels a little bit off. Alright. So, we'll whip through that. Some of the movements in the game is a little bit weird. And I've played lots of tennis video games over the years, from, Super Nintendo, NES, N64, Dreamcast, all sorts of consoles, Wii. So this is the easy mode. You can see that it's not too bad. And on rookie mode, it's impossible for you to sort of move the aim button, the little aim dot out, which is handy for people who are sort of starting off on the game. And when you're serving, you always pretty much hit it in on the rookie mode. This is when things get a little bit funny with the game. Now, this is rookie mode. Now, rookie mode's pretty easy in terms of that, but every now and again you get stuck into 15 sort of shot rallies, which makes no sense, because on rookie mode it should be a pushover. And you can just push it on the sides there, which isn't so bad. So we'll try with a lob. Or a big. So it doesn't go out. There you go. And we get to the break point. So you see the gauge meter. You can do an aggressive shot like that, and it takes a little bit off it. There you go. Really, really is helpful. And you can view the highlight, which is nice. So Big Ant Studio has sort of done a good job of sort of trying to replicate the sort of the high-end sort of sports game. However, you can see all these things. You've got replays and highlights and statistics, which is cool, and game modifiers. I've had to change this many, many times with the assisted movement now, because I think it's both at 50 or something like that. 99 is the default, and I couldn't deal with the assisted movement because sometimes it would move me in a way that I didn't like. And the aiming sensitivity I had to turn up, because at 50, you can't stretch the opponent player very well. It's not a lot of fun to deal with that sort of thing. So you got your general settings, which is all fine. You got the stamina you can turn on and off, and replays, and HD rumble if you want to save some battery power. And you have the difficulties. Now, I'm going to be honest, don't try any of these. Most of them, the AI difficulties is all messed up. And I think even Big Ant Studio has admitted that, yes, there are going to be even more patches for the sequel. So things like Grand Slam, Legend, World Class, Veteran, Pro, I just wouldn't recommend any of them, because it's just going to be far too hard. If I'm on adult mode, which is the second highest, and I'm literally doing 20, 30 shot rallies on on the second easiest difficulty, what is Grand Slam going to be? You're not going to be getting into long shot rallies because it's just going to be an ace and a return ace. That's basically what I dealt with and doing. And the players were just doing insane shots, which, not even the greatest players in the world could do. So you just do a normal serve, and this is what happens. The little red dot. Why doesn't it go green? I'm trying to move this thing, so you got to hold it down and make sure it sort of gets over it. And look at that. Almost a big step up in difficulty. No, I didn't. Now, you would think, well, there's the tutoring mode, but the tutoring mode really doesn't tell you much at all. It just says just serve in these boxes. It doesn't really go into much detail about how to improve your game. And this is the biggest stumbling block. They've got everything nicely set up in this whole game, but this sort of thing annoys me. Doing the corners. And the only way that I've found out, now if I do, for some reason it's doing well for me. But I noticed too that if yeah. So let's turn up the difficulty even higher. Let's go to Pro, for example. Because I noticed that in order to get my shots in, when you move the aim dot, you need to do flat shots. If you do top spins and that, and it's sort of on the line, like you put the button on the line, it's hard to sort of... No, there you go. And for some reason it's going on the line, which is not too bad. That doesn't even look like it was in. That was strange. And plus, Nick Kyrgios is a bit of an easier player in some respects. But I do like the things like time pressure and things like that. See, the serving really annoys me. And that's one of the areas that they've got to fix up. Why does it show up as a red dot? When is the right time to hit it? I don't know. Do I just hold the button down every time? Because that's sort of what the feeling is. And because it has a really deep learning curve, I think your average gamer is going to get really frustrated by it. And yes, they will compare it to past tennis games. I'm literally trying to throw myself around here. Out. Because you've got to hit the ball hard for that sort of thing. So it's down the juice now. There you go. Another flat shot there. And that was a fault too. Yeah. All right, so I think you've gotten a bit of a gist of what some of the issues are. Okay, so what do I give this out of 10? This was a game which I really hummed and hawed a lot about. And I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. And the reason why it's a little lower than I expected was just the frustrations of trying to learn how to play the game. Trying to figure out how to serve, dealing with AI difficulties, which is too difficult and frustrating. Now, I did pretty well there, but that's because I've played a lot of tennis games over the last 20 years. Now, if you're a younger player or someone who's a bit more of a casual tennis fan, it's Australian Open, you're like, I got my Switch in Melbourne or somewhere, I want to go buy the game and play a bit of tennis, it's going to be a really steep learning curve. And that's the thing that I couldn't give it any more than that 6.5. I think if they fix up the AI difficulties and make sure that the players get more unforced errors, because they don't get unforced errors even on the easier difficulties, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that's the thing that got me upset about the game, because I really wanted this game to be really good, because I'm a big tennis fan in real life. I've played it in real life, and I've played a boatload of video game versions of it. So that's where the frustration for me came in, about the problems about the game. So I think, yes, they will need to release a number of patches to fix up the AI difficulties, probably sharpen up on the graphics and that sort of thing. But I feel like this is a studio that bites off more than it can chew. They've got all these nice fancy features that they've got, statistics and career mode and even create your own venue. But I don't think they've really polished enough on the actual gameplay aspect of it. And if it's not that much fun, then not many people are going to play it, or they're not going to play it for long. And also, too, that on the eShop here in Australia, it's $90. That is a really big ask for people to pay for. Personally, and they probably priced it at that because that's what they needed to do in order to fund the studio. But it shouldn't be more than a $60 game, I think, or $50 game in Australia. Because it is, while it is quite ambitious, the game and all the different features and that, it does fall down on the main mechanics of the game. Is it fun? For me, it's kind of a mix of fun with a lot of frustration on the side, which after a while, you just kind of quit in frustration in the end. So, that was a long review, but that was my thoughts on Australian Open Tennis 2 for the Nintendo Switch. Yes, you can buy it digitally for the time being. It will come as a physical release later down the track this month, I believe. But yes, it's something that I think can improve over time, but they've got to really work on the basics of it. Is it better than Mario Tennis? I know for those asking. Well, it is in some ways, but the only thing that Mario Tennis has this beat is in terms of, at least you know where the ball is hitting, and you're not going to deal with crazy AIs unless you set on the highest difficulty on Mario Tennis Aces. So, yes, that's pretty much all I've got to say. So that's it for me, and I shall see you later on.